And we're rolling. This is the inaugural podcast of Is Life Always a Piece of Cake? I've got Robin Bradley here, otherwise known as Skip.
Hello.
Hello, Robin.
And hello,
Hello, Skip.
Hello, Faggy. How are you? And I'm here with Jared Fagberg, aka Jared Denner, depending which social media platform you'll be watching this on. And Jared is a aspiring actor slash model slash cricketer slash life coach, K-Risk coach.
I'd like to be called just a slashy, please. You know,
Slasher.
Slasher. Oh, I don't know. That's a bit dark, but slashy, maybe.
The Fluffer was your nickname occasionally at the Quokkas, so I think that was more apt than Slasher.
That was Alex. I don't know. There's been so many bad nicknames. I mean, AKA. I can't even say half of them. I don't know. What was something else? Cake Man. The cake. Where's your cake? This is the name of the podcast. Where's your cake?
I would say you've been. We've got a cake review later on. Don't worry about that. I've got my cake to show you.
Sorry, I'm a bit premature on that one.
I think so. But you've been nearly successful at one of those. I mean,
define success, Robin. Define success.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And I suppose that's sort of part of what we're going to talk about today on the podcast, about what is being successful and what makes you happy.
Well, I'm excited. What are we going to talk about? Well, I mean, I know what I'd like to talk about. Cricket.
Yeah. Just after England have lost another series, always your favourite.
Always losing. What's the difference? Well, there's just always.
Yeah. All right. Well, at least Australia keep losing as well, so that's good. Which bit of cricket would you like to talk about?
All right. So, I mean, I think that, let me go to my notes. I'd like to talk about the Quokkas. And Robin started a cricket club, the Quokkas, how many years ago? I mean, it must be 10, 12?
Yeah, probably 15 years ago now, at least. Maybe more, 18 years ago, I think, actually. If you go back to the halcyon days of never winning a game for 2.5 years in indoor cricket, before Last Man Stands, and with Guy and all the guys, Wayne from Last Man Stands, yeah, we were pretty special, I have to say.
So who was the inaugural Quokkas? Do you remember many of them? Are there still many that play for the Quokkas now?
Obviously, 8 wickets. You got 8 wickets in 2 overs indoor. Unbelievable. Yeah. So, but it was mainly just, I played quite a good level of cricket when I was younger and hadn't picked up a bat for about 10 years and just had fallen out of the love of the game a little bit. But it was just a way to get together with friends, give us something, a common interest. Like I said, we played indoor. There was myself, Egg, Knock, Nige. There was a couple of others. There was Dylan, the Quokka Rev, who's back in Melbourne now, running the Melbourne cricket team.
The Rev.
And we were plunged together as 2 random boyfriends in a restaurant one day by our girlfriends, my now wife, and Dylan's a strange girlfriend that made him sleep on a balcony at one point in Barron's Court, so that didn't last too long. So, but yeah, we just decided to play cricket, or had nothing to talk to each other about, and talked about cricket for an hour and a half, and then decided that we should just do it and just form a cricket team. So we did. And it was good.
That's a story. It's a good one. I like the balcony one as well. That's a nice touch. Yeah. And knowing the Rev as I know him, I can imagine that a lot of people want him to sleep on balconies, to be fair. So, yeah.
Quite intense. I did find him at my 30th birthday. Like I went to lie down for a minute and have a little rest, and Dylan was sitting sort of bolt upright, just staring at me, watching over me as I sort of had a little sleep in my pitch dark bedroom. And when I moved, he jumped on me and said, "No, you're too drunk. You can't move now." It's a good party.
It's a beautiful story. I mean, it actually reminds me of a few Quokka stories. The Quokka tours is always one of the highlights of the year for me, and definitely been woken up after about half an hour's sleep by a skipper who we won't, name here, rubbing my leg. Faggy, gotta get up, Faggy. And I'm like, what time is it? We've literally been asleep for half an hour. We've got a 4-hour bus drive into another country. I think we were where were we? in Hungary when we played the Serbian national team or something.
Yeah, I think we're in Serbia, weren't we? And played Hungary in a triumvirate. The Quokkas, Serbia International 11 and Hungary's International 11. Still one of the highlights of my life, getting interviewed by Serbian TV and asked about cricket. And a young, attractive Serbian lady interviewed me, and a translator translating Robin Bradley, Quokkas, 1,000 runs, international cricket.
Over how long?
Yeah. I mean, a decade, I think. Quokka life is not about winning. I mean, as many Sunday league captains know, it's about taking part in the banter and connecting with your friends and that social aspect of it. Going from playing very competitive cricket for quite a long time when I was younger, and one of the reasons I fell in love with it because it was just too intense, to Sunday friendly social cricket, and it's a totally different mindset. But I'd say that I enjoy the Quokkas a hell of a lot more than I did when I was younger. Well, maybe that's not true, but I've made some really good friends, and there's a whole load of different people that are connected and together in the cricket team and have been over the years, and it's been brilliant. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, well, I definitely know we all love it too, and we appreciate the hard work. A lot of hard work goes into like organizing the tours. As I learned last year when I think I sent a couple of texts to organize some people, and then that was, and then I claim responsible, for organizing the tour. So it was, I think that should be the champagne moment of last year, to be fair. But I'm not on the committee for that, so I mean, I'll leave it to the professionals, but the experts.
You've done one tour, and it basically involved texting your mate in Cornwall, say, "Hey mate, can we have a game like in August?"
I feel like I've done the same thing for Estonia. So yeah, 2 years in a row.
Hopefully.
I'm on a hot streak.
This is good. I like that. But I mean, it's been brilliant. I mean, it was interesting when I moved to Harpenden about 9 years ago. I talked to my dear wife about cricket, and I was like, right, I'm going to go and play now. I'm going to play for Harpenden when we get there, to make new friends and to get involved in the community. And that's great, brilliant. One of the attractions of driving into Harpenden was the amazing cricket ground and the common as you drive in. Nice place, very expensive, but anyway. But it was, so I inquired, and it was like, brilliant. I can play Saturdays. They play around Hertfordshire. And the conversation was like, oh, that's great. Well, you can do that on a Saturday, and then obviously you're going to give up the Quokkas on a Sunday. And I was like, what? I can't give up the Quokkas. And so it was quite a quick and easy decision. And obviously my sort of semi-professional cricketing career was then cut at its infancy again, and I was resigned to being captain of the Quokkas for the rest of my life, or associated. But it was the right decision. I get a lot more, my Quokkas have become my friends, and it's been a way of just, it brings me a lot of happiness doing it. And I think it brings a lot of other people happiness by doing it, and gets people out, and it's good. It's a good way to connect and talk. And I think we've got loads of different people in there that potentially might not, over lockdown or last year, it was probably the only release of a lot of people and a lot of our friends. So it was great. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, the Quokka group chat is always it's one of those special chats that once you're on, you can never get off, and it's always good for the banter. It's always, well, I think sometimes there's a million WhatsApp groups, but sometimes just knowing that you've got some friends there, you send something silly, send a little dig at the English cricket team, Australia, and these rivalries and everything. You're always going to get a bit of banter and a bit of life, and sometimes in this time, it's that's have a little giggle, have a laugh, it's a little bit of enjoyment for all of us, and it's tough at the moment, in COVID times, and some people are by themselves more than others, and it's a good group of guys, I think, and everyone from different. I think we've been talking a little bit off air about how everyone's from different backgrounds, and how there's a lot of people that might not normally get to meet each other. I mean, we've got a good friend in Birmingham, don't we? Who drives down a couple of hours to play games.
Yeah, radio. I mean, what is he? A slightly older, massive Birmingham City fan that came on tour with us and wore his Birmingham shirt all weekend, which, you know, was
like
different.
He's got 5 of them, and he just wears a different one every day.
It was amazing, wasn't it? I mean, even as a diehard Birmingham fan myself, I was full of admiration, but cringed a little bit. I mean, it was at breakfast, noon, and dinner, and he you know, changed. Let's all change to go out, and John appears in another Birmingham top. I mean, you contrast that to you and getting your another cravat out of the cupboard and putting that on, and just fancy clothes. It was, like you said, very different people. All the Aussie contingent, or Todd that we've got, who's like, you know, salt of the earth and a Kiwi and lived in London and come over here. I mean, I don't reckon, or we're introducing him to different cultures in the UK by getting Radio and him in the room and talking. But it's nice.
If we get Todd out of the pub for 5 minutes, we're doing well. So this is
yeah. Well, I think it's right about getting different people to open themselves up and actually talk as well. I mean, Siegel is a prime example. I mean, you know, going to university with him, he wouldn't move from the corner of the bar for like about 6 hours. You know, after quite a few pints of Snakebite Black, sort of 8 or 9 pints of Snakebite Black, you might consider talking to someone else apart from me. So getting him out and actually getting him to socialise and talk to people is a rare feat. He actually opens up, and, you know, he's quite friendly now.
Which is happening in Quokkas, even like a couple of games where, you know, our glorious skipper couldn't make it. As you know, I definitely disagreed with him batting like not where I wanted to and not bowling when I wanted to. But, you know, apart from that, it was all good, you know. I
know. Well, got to stroke your ego in certain ways. It's the art of good captaincy, I've found.
When's that? Faggy, get off. Get off, Faggy. No more half trackers. Come on.
Yeah, it's more berating you, I think. But there's different ways, different strokes for different folks. And I think I treat you like you need a big stick to get you going. And you're supposedly a fast bowler, semi-fast, medium sort of bowler.
Carrot, you know, a bit of carrot cake maybe. And there always seems to be the stick, and I could do with a bit of carrot cake.
I mean, no, I'm not. I love cake, but carrot cake, I mean, it's got to be bloody good carrot cake with a really nice icing on it.
Controversial. I'm not a big I love a bit of carrot cake.
I did discover courgette cake in a shop down on South Bank. You know, I think the National Theatre, there was a beautiful cafe that did an amazing courgette cake down there. Now that was good, but carrot cake, I still can't get it.
Would you say that's the worst part of lockdown, not being able to get to your cake shop on the South Bank?
Oh, no, I don't. Well, South Bank, I'm quite happy not going into London. And I think that's
I'm not a South Bank fan.
The joy of lockdown to many people. But Simmons is still open. Our local bakery is still open. So I've done a few little, you know, to ease the boredom and actually have something to look forward to. It's like that 15-minute walk down to the bakery shop, the local bakery shop, and buy like a gingerbread man for the kids. And, you know, one of many delightful cakes in there has been the highlight of many a week in lockdown, I think.
I mean, is there anything cake can't do? I mean, I would say no, but I think you can do it all. I mean, you can even help name this podcast, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, we did have other good names for the podcast. I mean, I did like your silly mid scone. That was quite a good one. That was, but a bit too cricket related. I thought if we're not just going to talk about cricket, I liked my son and Harry who came up with Fag and Rob.
Fag and Rob, yeah, it's got a certain ring to it.
Different connotations if you read into it too much. I don't know how much he understood. Happiness is cake was a nice one. I like that.
What did we settle on? Is life always a piece of cake?
Yeah.
Is that what we said?
I think so. Something along those lines. I think it was. I suppose that goes back to why we're doing the podcast, and we sort of didn't really talk about that. And I suppose it is trying to just talk freely as two blokes and you know, men's well-being and you know, mindfulness. I mean, I like the idea of mindfulness. I just don't really know what it means. And as a Yorkshireman likes football, beer, and cricket, you know, what is mindfulness? And I think that is what we talked about a little bit. Actually, it's just being open and honest and talking to your friends and thinking about and not being worried about certain things. I don't know. It's quite difficult, isn't it?
I mean, it is, but it's a nice thing to explore, I think. And yeah, like, I mean, mindfulness, what do you want to, what we can call it? There's probably a lot of names for it. Like, even just like, obviously we're sort of dealing with acting and everything, a bit trying to be present, trying to be in the moment a bit more rather than, in our own heads or thinking or worrying about the future, the past, these sorts of things. And, maybe guys don't talk about this a lot, it's, you never know what's on people's minds as well. If people seem to be a bit off or they're, or maybe they're not that friendly or something, they might be going through a lot of things in life. And we often don't think about that. We're just interpreting their sort of external behavior. And I know we've talked a little bit, I know you like to call it life coaching, but, in the line of work that I'm sort of moving into, I'd like to think about that a bit more and what's going on with us, what's going on with who we are, what's going on and what we want in any situations. And it's, I think for guys, yeah, like maybe, well, I don't know, but I feel like guys don't talk about as much. And yeah, this is, as you said, the conversation we'd like to have. So,
yeah, I think so.
Some is cricket. And I think, I've had many great conversations, after a few pints in a pub with the Quokkas and stuff. And I think I've learned a lot as well about life and about the people and different people from different backgrounds and how, they see things and they perceive life. So that's been really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think getting out there and being open to that and learning from different people and learning from different people's points of view is important.
Except Todd.
Except for Todd, yeah, I'd agree with that. And when radio starts spieling on about Daily Mail sort of headlines and his views that are heavily linked to the Daily Mail. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with what everyone's saying, but I do listen and then dismiss most of it.
I think we want to keep politics out of this. I think Tory Dave, he's out too. There's no more, we don't want to hear his political opinions either. And, I think we're going to keep it to cricket, mental health and beer and who's fines. I think that's a fine. Tory Dave, it's a fine. Radio, it's a fine.
Tory Dave, he was actually a Liberal Democrat member and campaigned for them in the last 5 elections, aimlessly traipsing around the streets of London and he's actually moved from sort of Richmond type area and supporting a quite successful sort of Lib Dem MP down there, although Goldstein's gone now. And now he's in St Albans and he's actually won another election there. So maybe he's found his niche. I mean, maybe Dave is the magic touch. Evil Dave, giving you the evil stare on the doorstep has actually worked wonders for the Liberal Democrats. I don't know.
If we're giving a bit of context, Evil Dave, aka Satan, aka Beelzebub, aka he has so many names.
Tory Dave.
He's one of our illustrious Quokkas, fast bowler, devilish, and he's political.
I think he does what he wants
to say about that. Sorry.
Well, I think it's interesting that he does. He's quite happy doing his own thing, and he's got his own interests, and I wouldn't say I'm politically, I'm not into politics really, but it's, he's very much into it and values it. And obviously we take the mickey out of him completely and, call him David Cameron, and it fires him up and he gets his red eyes and bowls a little bit faster when we do that. So
it's all about getting people to bowl faster. I mean, that's the carrot cake and the stick right there,
Yeah. Or getting people to enjoy it more and relax. I think that's another one. You get them relaxed and happy, then the hope is that they'll score some runs. And in normal life, it's like be more productive. I suppose you talk about getting happier employees and being more productive. That's a big thing in the workplace nowadays. It's the same on the cricket field. Feed them a nice piece of cake, give them a good tea, G them up a bit. And then they go out and get a quick fire 7 not out or 7 and out, caught on the boundary, and they've had a successful day for the Quokkas.
And I think you've hit upon one of the main reasons why a lot of us like to play cricket is the teas as well. Particular shout out to Wantage, which is a lovely tea. I think some of the gin jelly shots are some of the highlights of my whole life, to be fair, and some cakes there, really
unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable sort of dedication to the cause.
Yeah.
The jelly shots at tea. I mean, it was like they were trying to, you know, intoxicate us so our performance levels go down in the second half. But that's definitely not the case.
We couldn't
with the
get any worse. I mean, I think you apply us with booze and we'll get better, to be fair. I mean, that's always been
Yeah.
Pod's method, but you know, it's like
I think Acme at Westcote was pretty good, where we got the what was it, an espresso pavlova as well, or I think it was, wasn't it? Did we get something like that? Unbelievable there, and the cakes there were just second to none. So there's been some competition lately for best teas, but it makes little things make you happy, and I think you've got to like embrace these things.
Absolutely.
And is it breaking the law to take a piece of cake in your pocket when you go back onto the field? I mean, I didn't think so on a few occasions. You know, captain's prerogative, stand at first slip and nibble on a piece of cake as Faggy messes with his hair at the end of his run-up. You know, it's good.
Carrot cake, it sounds like. I mean, I love a bit of carrot cake. It's very controversial. It's rattled me a little bit, actually, because carrot cake is one of my favorites. I'm not even sure we were talking about that on air.
You're not a cake aficionado, really. I mean, you're all about good looks and your body, and you're trying to be fit and healthy, you know. I've seen you on billboards.
Yeah, allegedly.
Out of those four, I definitely say your acting, not your acting's been successful. That's just preposterous. Your modelling career has been quite successful.
Some success. I mean, yeah, you couldn't see my little belly on that billboard, but you did see a nice pair of glasses, so that was nice.
Exactly. And I saw your hand closing a kitchen cabinet on the TV once. I think that was a highlight of your career.
There's definitely been a few moments when I think some of the Quokka umpires could have gone Specsavers. It's definitely some dodgy decisions.
I hope you're not.
A particular favourite being gymnasts. We're not giving LBWs, are we, Skip? After another plum appeal goes down. Sorry to any past opponents who may be listening to this, but we try our best.
He was just towing the party line.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was walking off with the opposition at the time, as they were chuntering and sort of berating me basically about the lack of LBWs. So it was like slightly awkward moment, but we gracefully lost anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Absolutely, we evened it out in the end with our incompetence.
I thought we were going to mention Zoo and criticise the level of umpiring from Zoo.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, giving out myself on what tour was that? First ball, second ball. Left armour coming, you know, barely swung, pitching about 3-4 stumps outside leg. Sorry to those who aren't cricket aficionados here, but that's not out. And Zoo, eyes, you know, he's a sprightly 75 or something, isn't he? But his eyes are probably about 112, and he's just bottled it. He's bottled it.
I love the way you still cling on to it and still remember it avidly. They you out. I mean, it's brilliant. Well, I mean, you know, you are, yeah. You do focus quite a lot on your batting, and are quite, you know, it's interesting that it gains a lot of focus from you, and you concentrate on that more than maybe you'd say on a lot of things in life.
Maybe I enjoy it more than a lot of things in life, but it's no less important. I think it's. Well, we had a little bit of a chat, didn't we, before? You know, when we were talking about this podcast about the methodology and things that go into when you play sport, or maybe in life and everything, and sometimes having a plan. I know in cricket, you've sort of got different variables like you do in life, and if some guy is coming in and he's swinging it into you, and you're like, I'm going to get bowled, I'm going to get RBLBW. How do you mitigate that? And well, a lot of us might just be like, well, I'm just going to try and hit it for 6, or I get plus or anything. But there's sort of options in cricket like there are in life, and you know, standing on your off stump and getting outside the line. If the ball hits your pad, you're not out because it's hit you outside the line. So this kind of like adjusting the way you know, your actions to what's going on, the circumstances. And sometimes that's a hard thing to do because life is always changing and change is constant. So how do we adjust, you know, to different things that are thrown at us? And I think COVID especially, do we sit and moan about the things that we don't have, or do we try and focus on the things we do have? It's easier said than done. And well, I think that's the conversation. You don't sort of berate people and say, you should be grateful. No, but it's hard. It's hard. And we all like a little bit of a moan, but you know, it's worth considering and talking about.
I think it is. And I think there's lockdown's been interesting because, you know, I've spoken to a lot of, we actually did interviews of execs, and in my little consultancy talked to a lot of senior people about COVID and how they had to change and how they had to think differently in a professional way. But also I've spoken to friends that have, their lives changed, and you can't decide to do it differently because you're just being told what to do and stay at home and you mustn't go out. And so they've had a lot of time to think as well about what they're doing and their careers and their family and their life. And it's interesting because, like I said, I don't think blokes actually think about this. Well, some blokes, some men and women think about this quite a lot, but I don't think blokes talk about it. And, you know, you're very pigeonholed in society as still going out there, and I'll sound like a Yorkshire caveman, but, you know, hunter gatherer, must go out, have a job, provide for my family, and, you know, earn a decent wage and bring up the kids and be a good father figure. But is that actually what makes you happy? You know, in society now, roles change. I mean, you and I are sort of similar, totally different, but similar in the fact that we've done 2 or 3 different roles and sort of left quite steady jobs to take a leap of faith into different things. And it hasn't actually worked at all occasions for myself, but it's, you know, with my startups and things, but it's what I wanted to do. And actually, I've been a lot happier doing that than when I was, you know, working as an accountant at IBM, not IBM, at City or before. I mean, it bored me to tears, but I felt I should do it because I wanted to provide for my wife and, you know, set myself up, and I had a young family, and, you know, it's, these kind of things are real and it's not easy.
Well, they're real pressures as well. And I think you talk about that, there's real life pressures there, and why we need to do things and to provide and to have that grounding of being able to provide for a family and everything is really important, and one of those primary, you know, it's like life tenets. But again, talking about that, like, what do you want? I mean, at some point, if you are miserable going through life and really not enjoying yourself and not enjoying and not finding happiness, I mean, it bears the question: is there more? Like, what can you do? Is it your job? Is it something else in your life? Is it that, you know, you want better connections with friends, family, loved ones, your pet dog? What, you know, like, what gives you enjoyment? What do you like doing? And as you sort of said, like, are we thinking about these things away, or do you think, I'm chocolate boxed into society, this is what I should do, and that's what I'm going to do? And I think that's a really real question. And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation, really.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think more and more men are thinking about that. And they've had time during lockdown to actually sort of look at where they're going or what they're doing. And there's quite a lot more startups happening, people sort of thinking about changing the way they work. You know, working from home it's not going to go away. Even one of my illustrious neighbours that works in an investment bank, nicknamed Roger, he's talking about, you know, working from home a little bit more and not going into his illustrious office in town. Obviously, he's got to go in on a Friday night and go out on the beers with all his colleagues, but that aside. So, I mean, people are thinking about it differently, and men are thinking about it. And with that, it actually, you know, you do start questioning, well, where do I fit, and how do I fit in society, or is it acceptable? When I talk to parents at the school gate, I feel as though I should say, oh, I've got this job, or I'm doing this job.
Yeah.
When someone asks you, what are you doing? How are you doing? You don't go, oh, brilliant. You know, the cricket team's going great, and, you know, my under sevens team's amazing at London Colney. You automatically defer to, yeah, work's okay. It's quite stressful. Yeah. I'm doing this at the University of Hertfordshire. It's like you automatically refer back to what you think you should say, and society sort of is like, well, have you got a job? What job are you doing? How's the job going? That's your second question.
Well,
and that is not really, you know, is that the right question? I don't really want to talk about the job all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, even when you're talking about, like, for me, one of the main questions is, what is this, you know, this idea of what society wants, and we like to, like, sort of talk about society in this way that sounds like our expectations of ourselves to fit into a society. It's almost that like we've externalized an idea of who we should be. It's almost a self-image thing. And I think talking about the line of work and understanding yourself and knowing yourself, is it like what you want or what your projection of yourself wants? You know, this idea of the self-image, and it's sometimes I think we're living that self-image a lot there by the ego. You know, and I'm not always just talking about my ego of wanting to bat and bowl and sing the theme song, play the theme song, but sometimes, you know, what are we striving? What image are we striving to show, rather than like what do we want to do?
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously with my amazing outfit and like, you know, my lack of cravat and my Star Wars 20-year-old sort of tracky top that I bought in Melbourne. I mean, I've obviously thought about my image a lot. And my dodgy comb over.
It's not all about it's, you know, the way we look. It's many ways to, you know, project an image.
I forgot that you are a, you know, like I said, a semi-successful model and an aspiring actor. So that image is important.
I think in this time we should all listen to more models, and I've been saying that for a long time. I think they're the future. I'm gonna have to start. Your children. What's that? Coming to America? Is that the first one? Apparently the second one's terrible. Side tangent, but continue.
What's that song, Faggy? Just go again. I didn't quite hear it.
This is my singing lessons that are coming in. You know, and my unsuccessful career as a singer. It's just one of the slashes.
Makes me smile.
No, but it's one. I think what that brings back to is a good point of like, are you doing what you want to do, and you know, be damned what anyone's opinion of it. It's fun to talk about, like, you know, you're singing, that's funny and stuff or whatever. But you know, if you enjoy something, go for it. You know, like this idea of what you should be doing or that men don't do this or men don't do that. I mean, it's a bit antiquated, isn't it? It's like let's
have
a bit of fun sometimes. I know this. I mean, I was told a story recently about someone who liked to sing or hum in the toilets. I don't know if you know anything about this, Skip.
Yeah, I don't know who that was. No, but that was like the first. You know, you did that K-RIS sort of questionnaire on me, and it was good. And I picked out certain things. But if I remember back to when I had some executive coaching before, you know, do I remember all the outcomes from it and all the details? No. Do I remember the connection and the person that I was doing it with? Yes.
Yeah.
And she actually, you know, one of the points she said, it was like, well, one is, you know, you don't enjoy what you're doing. You're an accountant. Do you really want to be an accountant? She basically convinced me that I should leave my job, which was a good thing. You know, head of finance. Yeah, maybe not me. But then she also said, well, do you have fun at work? When do you have fun? Do you have fun? You need to have fun. You need to smile. I think she just came across me as a very dour, sort of very repressed sort of person and not having fun. So she was like, I want you to go in the toilets, you know, every day and for 15 seconds or 30 seconds, just hum a favorite tune of yours and just be happy. And so the weird situation of humming like Bon Jovi in the toilets in a sort of block of in an office block in Hammersmith, you know, 10 years ago, sort of sticks with me. But you know, to be fair, it was one of the happiest moments of my day. So she was probably.
And for the sake of us, you know, I mean, essentially, this is we want to entertain people. I wouldn't mind, like, you know, can we get a little bit of a preview of that, or is that possible?
It's not happening again.
It's, you know, a little. Oh, that's enough. We don't need 15 seconds.
Yeah. I know it, but it was like she was like trying to get me to be more positive and move and like be happy, and I think that happiness thing was important.
I think that, you know, again, we've like hit, you know, a bit of a nail on the head right there. Is like, what do we? Life doesn't have to be all about, you know, work hard and you know, get away and you get ahead and money and this and that. And sometimes thinking about like what matters to us. You know, if there's plenty of people that live a life where they work a job and they have a beautiful family around them and they have just enough and they're very content with that. Whereas this idea that like you have to strive or do this, if it's not something that you want to do, then why are you doing it?
Yeah,
why are you doing it? It's one of those things, and I think that like the loved one around us generally would rather see us happy than, you know, a newer car or something, and it, you know, is it our projection, is it our selfish, is it our ego? Like where is our, you know, if we want to talk about as the male ego, I'd like to talk about just as the ego, but you know, what is it leading us to do? And then do we need to check it? Do we need to have a look at ourselves? Do we need to have a look at ourselves in the mirror? Do we?
I try not to. You probably find it quite enjoyable. You know, as I get into my 40s and there's more grey hairs, it's like getting, you know, I don't know about that. You said love is all around us, and now I'm humming like wet, wet, wet in my
Did I
ear.
say that?
You know, one of the most successful like songs of the 90s, was it? You know.
I mean, back to that question of like we talked about a little bit about success and everything. When did you feel the most successful in your career?
Oh God, I don't know actually. I think
this is an interesting question. I think
yeah, I've obviously done some good projects and been successful. I think working as a team and being successful with other people brings me happiness. I mean, you did my profiling, and influencing and inspiring others is quite high on my values. So, and hopefully I've got good emotional intelligence as well. But I think, helping students and helping graduates. So IBM, I helped with the graduate program, and seeing them flourish made me happy. And I did that at City and developing people and careers. And that's the thing that's really made me happy. You know, and I suppose at the university now, sort of lecturing and helping young people on their journey and educating them on where they can go, not necessarily just on the topic itself, you know, computer science or AI or emerging tech. It's all interesting, but actually, okay, well, how does this relate to you? What are you going to do? Where are you in your career, and how are you going to move forward? And I don't know. I find that really rewarding.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. And how about you? What? I mean, interesting. Never asked you this, but where do you think you?
I guess it's a funny one again. I think we're talking back to that self-image when I had some modeling success, and when, you know, there was the billboards and stuff like that. While I enjoy it, it felt good to be seen in that way, but it maybe didn't feel like I was doing something that meant something to me. And I guess this is the thing. Like, I don't know if I've ever really felt like in the workplace, I've done a lot of things that were coming from me. I didn't feel like I was allowed to, feel like I was educated, whatever it was. And I think sort of my own journey, my own path sort of led me, once I started asking myself these questions, things sort of opened up a bit. And it's a lot of hard work, but the sort of the line of work that I've sort of wanted to do now, which is, again, like, you know, at the moment, it's sort of around, you know, this profile, the discovery profile, sort of looks at, you know, our what we value and our sort of using the DISC tool and these sorts of things, which, you know, I'm not going to get into too much here, but it's interesting, and the science behind it is interesting. And then it's just sort of like interesting to see what people pick out. And as I'm sort of doing it and learning more about it, people will sort of say, oh, that's interesting there. I think you found it very interesting that you were very high on altruism in the values. It sort of works off 7 values, and you were very high on that, and you were very high on theoretical, and that really spoke to you. And for me also, if I'm looking from the outside in, again, we don't know everyone, but I've known you for 10 plus years, I'd say, well, that does sound like you. You're very giving. You want to be part of the community. You like enjoying helping people. One of the reasons why you were one of the first people I came to with this kind of line of work. And it kind of was a nice tool. And when I'm talking about it, I can feel my energy level, you know, I'm excited about it. I like it because it's about me learning about myself and others. And that's kind of a great thing. That kind of means something. Whereas it was great that, you know, I enjoyed people sort of saying to me, I saw you there. I guess that was the thing I enjoyed the most. I did enjoy people saying that. And there's some of it, is it your ego? And is it some of it like, are you seen? Or it's like, you know, I mean, I would prefer when I was doing a few plays and stuff to be doing a great job acting and this and that. But, you know, I don't know.
There will be a chance for. I mean, I you know, when this podcast's on YouTube or something, I'll definitely share one of the videos of you acting in your early career. I mean, there's some quality footage. I've never seen a man sort of portray himself on screen so well. Who was it?
Oh, Platinum. Mikhail
Platinov. I mean, Faggy is Faggy in Platinov. I mean, you replaced Platinov with Faggy. It was like you're playing yourself here. You have these women and dismissing them and like they're breaking off you and like, yeah, I'm not really bothered. And oh, woe is me.
Woe is me.
A bit earlier in your life when you were a bit more of a diva, I have to say. But still good looking. And I've spent many a tour where you just had women sort of, and you were like, yeah, okay, yeah. So,
did I deserve to be shot? Question.
Well, I didn't want to go there. But I mean, you got a standing ovation and flowers thrown at you, so that was good.
I mean, absolutely. Like, what? Shout out to Lockie, aka Slick. We miss you. He's in Melbourne with Dylan, the Reverend. So hopefully he can come back to the UK soon and improve the morale and the quality of cricket.
Yeah, it's T20 cricket, should we say? Let's be honest here. And the morale definitely, and the emotional intelligence of the Quokkas.
Yes, I mean, yeah.
And the cakes. I want to do my cake review because I think we've talked a long time. So today, before we do a cake review on the podcast each week, I'm going to just review one of my favourites. I'm probably cheating in the Miviti's Jamaican ginger cake. It's actually a pudding cake, according to EU laws, but it is actually pretty damn good.
Is there they add aspartame? Sorry to interrupt. I know this is like your keynote, but is there like sweeteners and stuff in it? Or is it all just sugar?
Look, I don't really care about that, Faggy. I just care whether it tastes nice or whether it's any good. I mean, if I think about what's in a cake before I eat every time, I'm not going to eat many of them, am I? Because, and I might be allergic to a few of the things, but it's fine. I've not died yet. So, pretty good. Yeah. I mean, takes me back to childhood. My mum's Jamaican ginger cake is to die for.
Your mum's Jamaican? That's interesting.
She's, Jamaican from Hartlepool in the north.
Yorkshire woman. Yorkshire's little known split, but yeah.
Northeast, sort of born in Hartlepool. But the day when that cookbook gets handed down to me from my mum with all the cake recipes in, it's going to be a great day. Yeah. I mean, it's like, but it's pretty good. I mean, as cakes go out of a packet, and it's quite cheap, it's actually quite nice. I'd put it up there with one of the best cakes on the market. Value for money obviously comes into it as a Yorkshireman, and being born in Yorkshire, it's good value. For about £1, you get a good chunk of cake. The only problem is that the wife and the kids love it as well, so it disappears quite quickly. But other than that, it's moreish. It goes nice with a cup of tea as well.
Oh, nice. So on the skipometer, what would you give this cake? Drum roll, please. I don't know if we can add that in post.
I reckon 7.5.
7.5. Well, that's quite a high score. Yeah. So especially for a bit of cake. So that's up there. That's up there.
Oh yeah, I definitely up there. And this is just a random cake in the cupboard. Yeah. We'll obviously explore this the cake scale as we go through future podcasts. So
is it Simmons? Did you say that to me before? I can't remember if that's off air. Simmons Bakery. They keep you.
If Simmons Bakery want to give us cakes for the next podcast, then I'm more than open for that. But yeah, Simmons down the road does some good cakes, but not necessarily the best ones around. There's other bakeries that do nice cakes. And like I was saying, this is mass-produced, shop bought. Pretty good though.
Pretty good. I mean, yeah, if it's in your house, it's not going to stick around for long. It sounds like so. Get them while they're hot.
Well, yeah, hot. You can heat it up as well.
There you go. That could add an 8. What if it had custard with it? And maybe
I mean, all of a sudden we're definitely in the 8 category. You're sort of getting into the golden treacle one as well, and golden syrup one. That you put that with custard. I mean, that's a quick and easy dessert. I mean, obviously only Bird's custard. Although I've discovered M&S custard lately that's pretty damn good.
Ooh, posh. Interesting. You got to treat yourself in lockdown. Sounds like.
I did buy a pot of it. I mean, one of my favourite moments that makes me smile every time I think about it is when I went through. I was going through security at Lewin, and this German guy got stopped on the scanners, and it was no liquids. And basically the woman produced a pot of M&S custard out of his bag. And he was like, it's okay, custard. And the woman was like, no liquid. And he had this pot.
Ooh, question.
He had
really a liquid. It's quite solid.
I know. Well, they said it was a liquid. He argued that it was food and it was fine. But no, I mean, he had some cakes in there as well. I can't remember what they were. I think he had some Colin the Caterpillars, which are great as well. But they were like, okay, you need to throw this away. And he was like, oh, can I drink it? This quite average, skinny-ish German guy. German, I think he was Germanic. He basically downed a half litre of custard in about a minute, if that. And I basically held up the cue because I was just watching him going, wow. I mean, he's become my hero in seconds. So jealousy doesn't get you anywhere. That's all I know. So yeah, it made him happy. And obviously he valued it quite highly. So he was like, I'm drinking my custard.
Custard value.
I don't care what anyone thinks.
I think that could be. I'll speak to the very smart minds who created the Discovery profile about getting the custard value or the cake value put in. I mean, it will fall under aesthetic. I don't know, but it's worth thinking about anyway.
Could be part of one of your workshops. I'm more than happy to come in and get paid expenses to bring in, a selection of cakes every week.
Who doesn't love cakes? I mean, this is really. I mean, have you really thought about this? We were talking about what makes you happy and what sort of, where you want to go with your career and stuff. But cake seller. I can't imagine you baking, so I'm thinking maybe you'd be the proprietor of said store.
Baked a few cakes in lockdown.
That's good. Sorry for the judgment there, Real men bake cakes.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bumper sticker for all you out there. We're gonna be, producing that. Where do I do it? Click, is it? I'm not gonna do that prematurely. My IT skills aren't that good, but click here for that bumper sticker, some stage.
Whoa. We haven't got merch yet, I don't think, have we? And I'm not giving it away for free yet. That's going to have to be a competition winner.
No, you're going to
click the like button, as Harry says, or click subscribe to the podcast, then great, yeah. And if you give us some good insight or give us, send us some cakes, a bit like TMS, then all right, I might be able to rustle up a homemade sort of bumper sticker for you.
Absolutely. I mean, this may be something. I mean, we're going to sort of outsource this to probably Evil Dave. Really, he's the tour manager, isn't he? / merchandise man. So you've got a new job there, Evil Dave. Shout out to Evil Dave.
Stickers, bumper stickers.
Evil, get on that.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that's probably a good note to wrap it up for this week, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think we've, maybe we've gone over time. I don't know how long people want to hear us rabbiting on, but
I'd be amazed if anyone's listening.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this chat, and thank you, Skipper.
Thank you, Faggy. Brilliant. I really enjoyed it as well. So I look forward to the next episode of Is Life a Piece of Cake?
Yeah, and I look forward to it too. Maybe we might get a special guest. You never know. Herc wasn't mentioned, so maybe, there's a lot of Quokka. Shout out to all the Quokkas as well that weren't mentioned. I think, your moment to shine will come, and we'd like to get you on the podcast. And
I think we'd be selective there, but let's.
We don't want no Todd.
Let's leave that as a cliffhanger for the next podcast to see if we do get a special guest and who they're going to be. I mean, that's excitement. Exactly. That's not me again.
Skip's going to hum us out. You're going to hum us out. Give us our outro, please. All right. Thank you, Skipper. That's all for now.